Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. I hope everyone is well, inshallah. I want to do a quick review or share some thoughts in regards to The Science Delusion by Rupert Sheldrake, the second edition. This is the first edition. I'm in the office, so I don't have my second edition with me. But nevertheless, this is the first one. I read this many years ago. Not much different from the second edition, to be honest, with some alterations. But yeah, I wanted to share some thoughts without giving too much away so that it spoils it for anyone that actually does want to read the book themselves. But before I get into the video, please, if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, inshallah, and share the video as well, inshallah, if you find it beneficial. So, in a nutshell, what Sheldrake tries to do or does in this book is a couple of things, but two of the main things that he does. Number one, he highlights or he challenges this long-standing notion that science is this absolute method, is this perfect method that doesn't make mistakes and gives us objective truth with a capital T in regards to the physical world, etc. He challenges this and he does a very good job of deconstructing this notion. For example, he highlights in one part of the book, he talks about the constants that we refer to, the constants of nature, such as the speed of light, etc., and how they're not really as constant as we believe them to be. Or as science has informed us they are. He highlights that at a particular point in our recent history that the speed of light decreased by 20 kilometers per hour, and that information didn't really make it down to the public sphere where it was common news. And he also outlines that there to maintain these certain pillars, if you like, of belief within science or our understanding of the world. There is certain, if you like, hanky-panky that takes place back end where certain scientists, when they collect data, have data points. If there are data points that don't really add up or fit perfectly within a specific trend, if you like, that they are rejected as bad data. And they're gotten rid of. And then everything else is averaged out and then you're given a specific figure. And therefore it's presented to you in far more of a solid way than it actually is in reality. And he gives many such examples throughout the book. The other thing that he does is that he challenges this notion or what science has come to be dominated by, which is this materialistic perspective, materialism itself, and methodological naturalism, which is that everything that exists is physical, it's matter, it's material, and that's caused by physical stuff. And there is nothing beyond it. And if there is something beyond it, it has no direct impact on what's going on within this physical material space. And he challenges this. For example, in the 9th chapter, he talks about psychic phenomenon. And he highlights, well, this is a big problem for materialism. And psychic phenomenon has been studied for decades. Parapsychologists have been studying it. Scientists have been studying it. The US American government studied it back in history. I think it was called Project Stargate, if I'm not mistaken. World War II, World War I, maybe around that time. And they were studying psychic phenomenon. They had people in specific locations and the task was to project their minds psychically to different parts of the world and gather information, intel. So Uri Geller, he was used apparently by the government at some point as well. I don't know if I think a lot of stuff he does is trickery anyway, but nevertheless, that chapter, for me personally, that's one of my favorite chapters on psychic phenomena. It's a very interesting read because it challenges this materialistic science or this materialistic notion of science that we currently hold and that dominates. Aside from this, what comes to mind is, near-death experiences also challenge our current understanding of the material world. The psychic aspects of the UFO phenomenon challenge the materialistic notions of reality. And consciousness itself, which he talks about in chapter number 8, our minds confined by brains. And he highlights in this chapter in a very simple way that our experience of the world and the way we experience the world and reality, our first person experience of it, it's not in line with what science tells us in regards to consciousness and our minds and our brains. It just doesn't add up. Secondly, also, consciousness cannot be studied. This is why you have the hard problem of consciousness. You can't take consciousness, meaning our first person experience of the world, and stick it into a test tube and measure it. Sure, you can plug a person up to a monitor and you can see different parts of the brain light up as an individual experiences reality in the world around them, but that's not studying or capturing their first person experience. It's impossible to do that. That's what materialistic science, most of them conclude that consciousness is just a byproduct of the brain. It's produced by the brain. Or and some would even go as far as saying it's an illusion. It's not really there. It's just an illusion that's thrown up by the functioning of the brain itself. But anyway, he does a really good job in that chapter in, again, highlighting the issues and problems. And it reminds me of Thomas Nagel's book, Mind and Cosmos, where he, again, and he's an atheist, by the way, Thomas Nagel, and he highlights that consciousness and rationality, we cannot fully account for these realities on materialistic science. We have to broaden our horizons, we have to open our minds, and we have to, change things up if we're to fully understand what's going on in regards to consciousness and rationality. That's another very good book, by the way. But this book, The Science Delusion, especially the second edition, I would recommend getting the second edition because it's updated, is brilliant. And it does a phenomenal job of really highlighting to us the fact that science as a method, as great as the method is, and it is a brilliant method, but it isn't what it's made to appear to be to the masses. And I think that in itself is another interesting topic as to why has science been presented in this particular way? Why has science been presented to the masses as this absolute perfect method that can lead us to truth and progress? I have my thoughts in regards to it, maybe not for this video, but it is an interesting question. But anyway, good book to read. What I didn't really like about the book is where every so often Sheldrake sort of injects his own theories and views in regards to morphic resonance and so on, which I'm going to have a look at in a bit more depth because he doesn't go into too much detail in regard to that. However, it is interesting, but I don't know if I fully agree with his specific theory, but I can't comment on it right now because I guess I need to look into it further. But that's something I didn't really enjoy about the book, where every so often that would come up. But nevertheless, it is a good book, easy to read, flows nicely. The chapters are nicely broken down. You can read it chapter by chapter. You can read different parts of the book. Yeah, you can read it any way you like. It's a good book. It's structured well, so you can navigate the book as you like. So yeah, it's a good read. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you have read the book yourself or if you're planning on reading it, and I'll speak to you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum.